Play fake. Beathard sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith. Touchdown, 85 yards.
Has some time. Right corner of the end zone. Touchdown!
It's week 8. It's week 8.
I'm excited.
Yes, week 8 of football, man. I welcome to Big Ten Breakfast. I am Tori for Heisman with Wolverines over here. Battle of Little Brother. I'm sure you're nervous about this game coming up with Michigan, huh?
Michigan State. No, I don't think I'm ever nervous playing them. I think it's more of just we have to beat their brains in so much to make it not even a contest, especially with a team that can't take consensual phone calls and
okay.
There's last time we played.
Don't try to shift blame when you we talk about consensual phone calls when you're over there. We know the scandal all this week is Michigan.
It's alleged.
All this week it's been Michigan.
Alleged. Okay. Nobody's lost their jobs. There might be another self-imposed suspension next season. We'll see if that happens for next year. But as of right now, that was a little weird news. They say, I guess the allegations are that Michigan had been sending scouts to future opponents looking for play signaling, play calling, which, I think that's kind of fair game.
Is that legal?
It seems fair game to me.
Depends, because now I don't know what the rules for college are, but in pro it was like you couldn't record it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no allegation of them recording.
It's just them sending people to scout other teams, which is, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see if it's anything true. I mean, honestly, let me put it this way: none of the games this year it would have mattered in any way, even if you gave every other team 20 points, it wouldn't have mattered. So I don't think so far it's mattered. I'm obviously, if it's something Michigan was doing that was illegal, then they're going to stop doing it for the rest of the season and kind of see what happens for the allegations, and we'll see if it, we'll see if it's true, or we'll just see if Mel Tucker's final decision before leaving was another phone call to the NCAA. So we'll see if that's what happens. So
have you watched any of the game day this morning?
I have not. No.
Pat McAfee has picked Ohio State to beat Michigan.
We don't even play today.
No, I know he's picked it in the future. They play this stupid game where they cycle through random teams and then they have to look at the rest of their schedule and pick if they go undefeated or not.
Okay, so he picked Ohio State to go undefeated.
Yep.
I think Ohio State needs to worry about their game today against Penn State before they worry about that game.
Let's give a quick rundown of week 8. Okay, conference action, 6 Big Ten divisional matchups. That's everyone playing, right? Or no, 2 teams off.
No, there's 2 teams off.
Maryland and Purdue are off. 4 Big Ten teams appear in the AP poll this week. Michigan, number 2. Ohio State, number 3. Number 7, Penn State. And number 24, Iowa. Coming in the rear with that horrible offense.
I can't believe they moved in again.
Did you see Aaron Rodgers throwing shade?
I did not. So what did he say
on Iowa? Well, here I'll just show it.
You have a little video for us. All right, let's see it.
Do you see it?
So hello, Ty. How you doing, buddy? You excited about the Big 15?
This is a Pat McAfee
show.
Okay. Hi, how you doing, buddy? You excited about the Big 15-6 barn burner that happened this weekend?
Hell yeah, brother! We'll see you in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship, Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to make it, but
They will. They will.
God, shut
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, we all know he's your favorite NFL quarterback of all time. And just to hear him talk shit about Iowa is just hilarious.
He is not my favorite quarterback.
I know.
Ever. I didn't even like him in Madden. He was worthless in Madden.
For anyone watching this, Corey is a Vikings fan for the
Let's
NFL.
let's not talk about our pro careers, man.
Okay.
Cool.
So we'll get to our teams, I think, last if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the most boring matchup of the day. Sorry, May. Northwestern at Nebraska.
Northwestern by a mile. No.
Nebraska's favored by 10.5 in that game. Both 2, 3, and 3 teams. Battle of the I don't know. What is it battle of, Corey? What are these teams battling out?
The battle of I don't know, tank. It's a tank bowl. I don't know what
does Nebraska need to do to win this game?
Nebraska's defense is playing solid. Northwestern will try to spread them out, and they'll test their linebacker and nickel defenses. So, and I fully expect Nebraska's defense to be okay with that. Like, I think they'll push them into 3rd and long situations. I actually would take a Nebraska over on this too. Nebraska plus the 10.5.
You have or minus the 10.5.
Yes, yeah.
To cover the 10.5. Okay.
Yep, to cover the 10.5. So I think we're going to see. Yeah, they're coming off a bye. They had these stupid motivational videos that are supposed to mean something to them, and I think the Husker fans are silly enough to be able to get pumped up by them. So I think you're going to come out and you're going to see a strong first half where Nebraska establishes dominance, and then I think you see Northwestern struggle in the second half to try to play catch up, and their defense capitalizes on it. Called it. Nebraska for the win against a crappy Northwestern by 14, I think.
I actually also think I'll take Nebraska to cover the 10.5 too. For me, just like you said, the defense is really, I think, what's going to win it for them. I think they'll be able to, especially against a Northwestern team that's proven that they are so up and down. They don't know what their identity is in the game right now. So if they can establish a good run game, which they've been doing well all season, and they can play good defense, then there's no reason Nebraska shouldn't be up by double digits going into half, I believe. So should be another sold out Lincoln game. Yeah.
Yep.
Another sold out game. 3:30 your time, 1:30 over here. So yeah, I'm looking for. I mean, I'm sure May's obviously looking forward to that game. Too bad he's not here to give us some more insight on the Huskers, but I think they will cover. I think Nebraska has a good shot today. I think Northwestern is toward the bottom of this conference, and I think Nebraska shouldn't have too much of a struggle. So,
quick little stat from the Big Ten press release today: 7 Big Ten conference programs appear in the top 20 of the latest NCAA attendance rankings.
7. What are the 7?
Michigan, of course. Penn State. Michigan beats Penn State. Then Ohio State, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Michigan State. That's impressive.
Interesting.
Okay.
Is that all of them?
Then Iowa came.
Oh, Kinnick is at the bottom of the list. Huh?
But so that's just because it's based on capacity, right? So
obviously, we have the largest capacity in all of college
football. That's why you're number 1, and then Penn State's number 2, and then Ohio State. But still, impressive numbers.
Yeah. I didn't realize the Sandusky's came out so strong.
I'm really surprised you picked Northwestern Nebraska as the shitty game when Rutgers and Indiana.
So I didn't mean the shittiest game, I guess, in terms of.
I'm okay with it. No, it's okay. Don't apologize. Let's go on.
They just have the largest spread differential minus the Michigan State game, which I said we'll save our teams for last since May's not on today. So, 10.5 point spread. Every other game besides the Michigan State game has a 6 point or under spread. But yes, in terms of battle of the games I don't want to watch, Rutgers at Indiana is probably the number 1. If that's the one you move into next. Indiana is Rutgers is favored by 6. And I don't see any reason why Rutgers should not be able to cover that 6 points today.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that game?
No, I take Rutgers all the way.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, Rutgers is just a better football team.
Right.
They're actually 5-2. That's
They're
pretty
not playing
impressive.
bad football.
No,
they're playing
they're 5-2.
sound football. You know, they get beat in some areas, but definitely well coached.
Yes, and then Indiana is just a shit show. They haven't been good for years, really.
You know, thank God. If you listen to last week's Phantom Facts episode, you'll understand why I'll be constantly rooting against the University of Indiana. Yeah.
So the funny thing that I always go back and forth with Hoosier fans is in college basketball, if you're unaware, they have a long history of championships a long time ago, and they're considered a blue blood program.
They are
college basketball.
Yep.
Now the problem with that is in the last 7 or 8 years they haven't finished in the top 25 in basketball. They underperform year after year, and it's actually to the point to where their championships were so long ago. It's how do we continue to call this team a blue blood program if they can't get it done? So the Hoosiers, struggling in basketball, struggling in football. University's down a bit. Maybe they have some sort of gymnastics team that's doing well or something I don't know about. But again, Rutgers should be able to easily win this. I have Scarlet Knights all the way, and I think 6 points is kind of an insult to Rutgers. I think Rutgers wins by 14 plus today.
Yeah, Rutgers has been playing pretty sound football for all the games so far this season. They ranked number 4th in rushing, number 11th in passing. Total offense, they're number 8. In scoring, they're 5th in the conference.
Is this only in the Big Ten? This is the conference.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, this conference. Yep. So so they're playing sound football in Big Ten football. So Indiana plays sloppy. This list for Indiana is, Indiana's like 13th in rushing, 9th in passing, 11th in total offense, 14th in scoring.
Yeah. So last in the Big Ten in scoring, Indiana. Well, that's not. Yeah. So I think Rutgers will have an easy time winning this game. They played a close one. They came out over top against Michigan State last week. I think it was 27-24, and I think they should have an easy time winning today too. So,
okay.
But again, not really a game I'm going to tune in, especially because of the other game that's playing at the same time as this one. Which, if you want to just jump into the game of the day, we can.
You want to go game of the day? You can't wait.
This game.
You can't wait.
This game is,
No. We got to do Wisconsin, Illinois first.
All right. Well, then that's fine.
Get it over with.
All right.
Because I'm thinking, okay, what is it? What's the numbers for the Wisconsin Illinois game?
Wisconsin -3 at Illinois.
I'm picking Illinois to cover.
We're picking Illinois to cover the 3 points against the Badgers.
They're gonna do a little beat down. I would go up all the way.
Is it just a feeling? You're gonna pick Illinois to win it?
It's who's coaching that game, bud?
Or are you gonna pick Illinois to win it?
Yes, and to cover.
Well, if they win, they cover since they're underdogs. But
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize they were underdogs. But yes, how? No, Bielema is gonna beat up on Wisconsin. A little personal vendetta, and Wisconsin's hurt too. Iowa hurt a lot of their boys in that bruiser of a game last week. And I don't care what Aaron Rodgers said; those boys got beat up on the trenches. And Illinois is going to come in there, and I think, or Illinois is just going to be able to push them around. Yep, Illinois for.
I think what happens in this game, Wisconsin steamrolls Illinois. Not only steamrolls Illinois, I think Wisconsin makes a comeback in terms of they are going to start fighting for that West title with Iowa.
Broken. Their quarterback's gone. They're broken.
And then the two things are going to happen today, and you're not going to be happy about either of them. Wisconsin is going to steamroll Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, they're going to have an Iowa loss in Kinnick today.
Hey, we were not talking. Fuck you. All right,
We'll
let's
get
go
there.
then.
We'll get there. But I
Mm,
think that's my prediction
mm.
today. I think Wisconsin turns they get 2 back on you guys today. They get a win on their side, a loss on your side, and I think that's what they need to look forward to the future and potentially be that spot in the West championship. I still have faith in Wisconsin. They've looked good. They've looked bad. They look terrible at times. But I think this is their turning point. You play a down Illinois team. That stadium is probably like second to last on the list of attendance, I would assume. Do you have that list?
I do not have the
No.
list for Illinois' attendance. I'm sorry, I'm not the stat man you need in your life.
Well, I'll start picking up some stats for tonight's game,
Okay, so you're picking Wisconsin.
I am going to pick Wisconsin to cover the 3 and take the win against Illinois.
Okay, all right.
Also, though, I will admit, not a very intriguing game. Just no. There's nothing you really want to see there. Now, if Wisconsin turns a key corner and in 4 or 5 weeks they've been won 5 of their last 6 or 6 of their last 8 or something like that, if they're looking good toward the end of the season, then they might be a to-watch team. Or if they're fighting for that West Championship at the end of the year, then yeah, I might want to watch Wisconsin games. But the last couple games I've watched from Wisconsin have been snooze fests, and I have not. No offense to Iowa, and I have it just hasn't been interesting. So
all right, let's go through. Let's catch up on May's picks here. He's got Nebraska to cover the 10.5. He's got Rutgers to win, Iowa to win. So and then now the Penn State Ohio State game. This is the
here. Let's do this. We'll get Michigan out of the way first, because there's not much to talk about with that game. Like, yes, it's our second biggest rivalry. For Michigan State, it's probably their biggest rivalry.
Right.
I don't think it's same thing with Iowa State and Iowa. We just have to play them in the same conference. So even though you guys play Iowa State yearly, they're not in the same conference. So like, it does have weight to the game, but really whoever loses that game, you still have a big shot of doing well in your own conference, even if you lose that game. Whereas this one is a little bit more meaning, I think, in just the term of we're in the same conference. We're both in the East. Ann Arbor versus East Lansing, and so I think it's going to be
an easy game for most people. You would think the thing I would think as a fan you would worry about is that Michigan could be looking past this game, but I feel Harbaugh is a good coach.
I think Harbaugh he grounds, I think, the players very well. I think he's proven that definitely over the last 2 years, just how well we've done. And we've had teams. Some people think last year's team was arguably still better, and we still went undefeated in the regular season. Obviously, in the Michigan game, the state game, there was some hiccups and stuff. There was the whole locker room incident and assaulting and whatever. And and I'm sure a Michigan player antagonized him. Whatever it was, end of the story was a couple people got arrested on the state side, and that was just it just added to the fuel to the fire of the rivalry. And if you remember that game when it started, Michigan State actually threw some trickery in there, and they scored a touchdown early on, and they kind of just blew them out. So I think you said it a week or 2 ago. That's kind of how Michigan allows points. We don't allow points regularly. You have to hit us with some sort of trickery, and you'll get it once, but you won't get it again. And if you just try to play regular football against us, you just have to be a better football team, or that's how you beat us.
And Michigan State is not a better football team.
No, they're not a better team. They're not better coached. Certainly not right now. And they, I don't know what their players are feeling.
They are playing fundamentally better now that D'Antonio's sort of taking control of these.
Than they were, yes, but
but it's not talent level matched, and not there's no progression.
So, we are away today. We don't get the pleasure of the home game, but I think I actually expect Michigan State to keep it close in the first quarter. I mean, if you remember last week, we were down in the first quarter by 7, I believe, and then we never let them score again, and we just scored 50 some odd points. So I think it might be something similar. I think we might get a field goal or maybe a touchdown in the first. I don't see us having a super fast first quarter. And then after that, I kind of just see us putting East Lansing in our pack. So,
and May's got Michigan as well.
I have Michigan covering.
Yep. And what was it again?
Minus 24.5. So Michigan to win by 24.5. Now I will give you some statistic updates here. So last week we beat Indiana by 45. The week before that we beat Minnesota by 42. The week before that, sorry May, we beat Nebraska by 38. And the week before that we beat Rutgers by 24. So here's one thing you can think about. I guess I'll give you this. The only matchup I can think of. So last week, Rutgers beat Michigan State 27-24. We beat Rutgers 31-7. So I don't just going based off of that. And that was when Michigan State was actually, they're doing better now. But when we played Rutgers, they were still I think performing at a well level. I don't blame you if you pick Michigan State plus 24.5. Like it's a large spread against a rival.
Michigan always gets me on these spreads, though. Every time, I just don't believe. I feel like they got a letdown game coming where they're still going to win, but that it's going to be an ugly win.
Well, what's funny is we played our 3 cupcake teams at the beginning of the year, didn't cover once, and as soon as we got to Big Ten play, we just started blowing everybody out.
Yeah.
So
sending messages. So, I feel like 24 points,
24.5. So they have to score. That's a 4-score game.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Michigan State
to cover.
Michigan State to cover.
Michigan to win.
Michigan to win.
Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. I don't have any qualms with it. All right, so this is. I'll let you choose here.
Let's go Minnesota, Iowa. I mean, we all know what the real big game is, but
Golden Gophers, Hawkeyes.
All right. Let's get prepped.
What's the hit?
I used to watch the Heisman House every year on TV, and I'd always wonder, is it real? I can tell you now, it's very real.
Take a little bit more off the top.
Now that I've been here a while,
A little bit more.
it's a lot like campus. We have roommates.
Hey, Caleb.
Tory for Heisman. Tory Taylor is on a Heisman run. Pat McAfee guaranteed that Tory Heisman will be on the ballot for I think he should be invited to New York as well. I believe the campaign for Tory should start here. I think it's already started, to be honest with you.
A punter.
Yeah, the punter.
A punter for Heisman.
Have you not seen our punter, dude? He looks.
I've seen him. He's a great punter.
He looks more like a quarterback for our team than our quarterback does.
He definitely has more yards.
I was watching the press conference with him against Wisconsin, and he was like, I'm really proud of our special teams unit. They really executed their blocks. I mean, he's the quarterback of the special teams. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. We're more 506 yards last week. He has averaged his long punts at least 60 yards. He punts at least 60 yards. And out of the 10 punts, 6 of them were inside the 20, which is saying something because Iowa was on punting from their 10, several of those drives. So, and those were average.
He does. It's a huge game changer when you have a defense like yours mixed in with someone who can pin the ball back. Yeah, I'll admit that. That's a great thing.
Does Iowa win any games if they don't have that punter?
Yeah, you still win some of your games.
I don't think you do because
you're 6-1. Yeah, you beat who are some of those garbage teams you played at the beginning?
I think you lose to Purdue.
Iowa State.
I think you lose to Wisconsin. And we beat up on Iowa State is a joke.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I will say. I mean, it's a hearsay really, but the punter is extremely good, and he does keep you in the game. Your defense mentally and physically in the game by putting them back. It's very demoralizing.
It's huge. Yes, it's a huge momentum shift.
They're on the 40 already. So
you watched the Wisconsin one where the guy was lined up on the 35 and had to run backwards to get this punt, and then ended up getting down at the 19 or something like that. But it was so demoralizing, because he just out punted the coverage. I mean, it's crazy, what he does in every single game, and 10 times, and to be that consistent, I think he should be on the Heisman ballot. Just
we'll see how the rest of the season goes. All right, before we start naming anyone Heisman ballots, but
I'm not saying he should win Shane.
I'd put him on.
Shane, he should go to New York.
I'd put him
right?
on an
and get like 5 votes.
I'd put him on a Pro Bowl ballot if they had one.
He's special teams player of the week 2 weeks in a row. And I don't know. I can't remember how many he's had total this year.
I'm sure he's had quite a few, or at least over. Yeah. So good punter, Minnesota. What's the rivalry like with this game? What do Iowa fans feel about the Golden Gophers?
This is a very serious game.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that?
It's a battle for a pig. It's a battle for Floyd of Rosedale. We're fighting for bacon right here, bud. And I don't know if you know anything about Midwestern people, but you don't fuck with their bacon. You know? So this is a big game for us. We want Floyd of Rosedale. He was originally back in the early 1900s. The governors of the 2 states made an agreement. Whoever won the Iowa-Minnesota game would receive the other team's state pig. And the state pig that day was Floyd from Rosedale. And he is a cast, I think he's bronze. I think he's bronze.
Bronze or cast?
Heavy pig. With all of the wins and losses. And Iowa, I mean, they pretty much have the stable set right upside the university there because that pig stays there all the time, bud. It's just, you know what? He likes the southern weather down here. He's happier in Iowa. So I think we're going to keep him again. I think we're going to keep him again this year.
What does Iowa need to do to win this game?
No turnovers. You can't
no
be
turnovers.
You can't be doing. Listen, we can't expect the offense to find life all of a sudden. So we need to play fundamental football right now. That's the biggest thing we can do. And that is no turnovers. We got to be, I think we'll be able to run against these guys just fine. We're definitely going to be baited into passing. And by baited, I mean, we're going to have probably, if we can't establish the run game by the second quarter, I'm going to be a little worried. You know, like I understand sometimes it takes a minute for it to warm up, but we got to be able to push our will against Minnesota. Take the hope.
Enforce your will.
This is a personal vendetta game for PJ Fleck. He does not like Kirk Ferentz at all. Kirk Ferentz is a bastard. His words, not mine. No.
Okay.
I can't remember what the debate was about. Oh, he was using timeouts. That was it. It pissed off Kirk Ferentz how he was using his timeouts.
Okay.
So then Kirk Ferentz, even when we were whooping their butts a couple of years ago, he kept using timeouts in the fourth quarter. And he's like, "Well, I had timeouts. I better use them." You know, a little dig, and then ticked off Minnesota. And this is Minnesota fans. This is their bowl game today.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know you don't realize that, but Iowa has many an enemy in the Big West. Many people hate Iowa. What was the game, Nebraska and Wisconsin, where they're both chanting, "We hate Iowa"?
We hate Iowa.
Yeah, or no, it was Wisconsin, Minnesota. I think it was. I can't remember.
Was it?
I think it was. No,
they joined in unity to hate on Iowa.
Yeah, at Nebraska, Minnesota played the opener, right? And as the fans were leaving, they were chanting, "We hate Iowa." So just to, this game, I want them to keep hating us. It's been 15 years since they've beat us.
Has it really?
At our house. And it's going to be 16 next year.
Do you know the all-time record? I have it up.
I don't know.
You're not going to be very happy with it.
Minnesota probably had it for a minute there, huh?
52, 62, and 2. Minnesota has 10 games on you guys.
10 games. Well, it's going to be 9. We've been chipping away.
Yeah, you're chipping away.
The 60s were rough. The 1940s were rough. So good for Minnesota. Our boys were out there fighting the war, but their boys were playing college ball because they passed the draft. So.
Okay. All right. All right. So, what did May pick for this game?
May has picked Iowa. And I didn't see the spread on that. What was
minus 3.5?
Minus 3.5. I will. What's
So
I think
essentially
it's
essentially that's a home field advantage.
I believe they believe 35 over under
30.5.
30.5. Yeah.
Mhm.
They said the Oklahoma game today. I can't remember who they're playing. That's the over under for the first half. So,
Oh yeah, Jesus. Third, yeah. So I'm gonna stick to what I said. I like Iowa more in this spot. I just think that Minnesota is gonna have a bounce back week. It's just something I feel in my bones, you know. I think Minnesota breaks their 15-year dry spell of winning in Kinnick. I think they roast that pig. And
don't talk about Floyd that way.
And I think,
right?
I think
you have a pig, you fight for what? A bucket, a jug, a jug that you can drink your misery away with. You have a pig.
Yeah. So we have to give Michigan State something every few years. So I'm taking Minnesota plus the 3.5. I'll take Minnesota to get the upset. And that'll be my pick for the day.
All right.
How about you? I'm obviously assuming you're taking Iowa there.
Iowa to
cover the 3.5.
Cover the 3.5.
Okay. We only have one game left, but
this is a big one.
I know we're doing a little bit of a shorter episode today, but go ahead. I'll let you announce the game.
Penn State at the Ohio State. And it's a morning game. You should have seen those kids. They were all hungover on game day. They're doing game day at Ohio. They're hungover.
Well, they did this game.
They got wake up.
They did this game at 10 a.m. so that way they wouldn't have too many drunk students on the Ohio State campus. That's why they do this game at 10. They'll do the Michigan game, Ohio State game at 10 or 1:30. My time. I know it's a little bit later. I know it's a little bit later on the East Coast. I know it's a little bit 2 hours later on the East Coast, but
yeah,
so
but
Penn State's ranked 7th.
Yep.
Ohio State's ranked 3rd. Two undefeated teams. Penn State has been absolutely just dog walking every team they've played this year. Ohio State did have a close game. They had to win the last second against Notre Dame, but that was a good win at Notre Dame. So good for them.
Built character.
Did, yeah. It was a good game. I think they struggled a little bit to find their identity, and then they realized they have probably the best receiver in college football with Marvin Harrison Jr. So they've been getting him the ball. He's been doing great. As a Michigan fan, this game's a little nerve-wracking just for me, just because our whole thing is it's always been Ohio State, Michigan for the last few years, and Penn State's just been like that third best team. They've kind of been with Iowa right around that mark there, maybe a little worse than you guys a few years ago when you guys had, some really good years there. But now they have actually, it seems like this season they've broken through and they've proven that they're a lot better than they are. So last year, I thought the same thing last year. I thought that was the season that they broke through. We played them in Michigan. I remember JJ threw a pick 6 in that game. I believe they were up at halftime, and then they never scored in the second half, and we just blew them out for the rest of the game. But I remember watching that game. I was like, wow, we might actually lose to Penn State today. They look good. They look great. And they were very frustrating in the first half, and then they just fell apart. So I think they're better than they were last year. I think this is the season that they might break in and saying, hey, there's 3 of us at the top of this conference, not just 2 this year. So just watching this game as a Michigan fan, it'll be nerve-wracking just to see. And, I don't really want to cheer for either team, but I think deep down in my soul, it would be more comforting to see Ohio State win the game just to prove that Penn State isn't this dominating force that they have been so far this year. Because honestly, if Penn State wins this game, I'm going to rank Penn State above Michigan in my poll. I'll put Georgia 1, Penn State 2, and then Michigan 3. So I'll drop them a spot because winning at Ohio State, it would be a huge win, huge win, especially to do on your 7th game of the season. 46. So not this high, actually. Ohio State's favored by 4. So I still will take Ohio State to nudge it. I think I'll take Ohio State to win minus the 4, and just because they're at home, the stadium is tough to play at sometimes, and they don't lose there often. Penn State is a really good team, and I think even a one-loss Penn State still has a chance at the end of the season, just since we all play each other. So they can still figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very interested to see how this game goes. If Penn State, if I look up Penn State wins by 20 points, I wouldn't be surprised. If Ohio State wins by, I would be. Let me put it this way: I think Ohio State will win. I'll be less surprised if Penn State wins by 2 touchdowns than if Ohio State did. I think if Ohio State will win, but it won't be by a lot. It'll be by 7 to 10 points. I think if Penn State wins, I think they have a chance to not only win it, they have a chance to beat them by multiple scores. But I still will give the nudge to the Buckeyes. This is the game. I think this is probably the best game we've had all season in terms of matchup. For any
this is it's pretty exciting football coming. I mean, the Texas-Alabama game was
a good one too. That was a good one too.
Last big conference play type of
that might have been the most rallying game other fans got behind because everyone just wants to see Bama lose. But yeah, I think this is even a bigger one. 2 undefeated Big Ten teams, arguably fighting for your spot at the end of the season for the East, and
everyone has eyes on Michigan. Ohio State, I think, is weak. I think they're weak, man. Like
Penn State win this?
Played disciplined football against Iowa. And Iowa is bad offensively, but Penn State played. I mean, I don't remember the last time Iowa been shut out. I think it was 99. So there's something to be said for that.
It's probably like 2 years ago. Let's see.
And you're going to Google it, you asshole. I think Penn State, man, it's tough, though, because Ohio State finds ways to win. You know what I mean?
They do.
So, and that Notre Dame game, Notre Dame's not that good. We found out. So
2000. You were right.
Do you remember who it was against? Illinois? Yeah, I don't know if it's.
Let's see here. Iowa was shut out. Penn State. Let me see. It just says shut out. It doesn't tell us who. It shows us your stat line of punt, fumble, punt, 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 fumble, punt, fumble, though. So that's great. So
23 years of punt. No, I think, man, I want to say Penn State. Penn State wins it outright.
Penn State just wins outright.
I say Penn State wins it.
I don't really have an issue with that call. I think this call is much more of a coin flip call than some people were giving it credit for.
Well, 4 points is a coin flip in Vegas too.
Pretty much. Well, three. I always assume 3 points just means like if you get home field advantage, you get an extra 3 points. So like today, if Michigan was playing Michigan State, instead of it being a 24.5 point spread, it would swing 6 points the other way. So you'd lose your 3 point advantage, and then we would gain a 3 point advantage for having home field. I kind of assume anything like 3, 2.5, 1, those I'm just assuming that's more of a home field. So to me, what this spread means is that if Ohio State played Penn State on a neutral field, like right in the middle between their universities, this would be an Ohio State favored by 1 point game. Like Ohio State wins the game barely. Like they kick a field goal at the end of the game to win by 1 point.
Which is interesting because May picks Penn State to cover Ohio State.
But did he pick Ohio State to win?
I assume because he goes Penn State to cover Ohio State.
Okay, so Penn State. So you have Penn State outright winning. I have Ohio State covering and winning, and then May will have Ohio State winning narrowly, but Penn State covering that
last-minute field goal, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yep. Okay, I don't blame it. I think those are all good picks. Honestly, I don't really have arguments either way. I just have what I feel about the game and what I've seen those teams do this season. So I have no qualms about any picks that they might have. Are there any other things you want to talk about, Corey, before we get out of here today?
Maryland Rutgers need just one more win to become eligible for bowl status. And Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State have all secured their bid to the bowl.
All secured their bid to the bowl.
You know what? Say what you want about Kirk Ferentz. We go bowling early here in Iowa. So There is, I don't know if you've seen the press. There is major concern that Iowa will have a chance to enter into the college football playoff with the 133 worst ranked offense in the NCAA.
Okay, they won't have a chance.
So, well,
here's what's going to happen. Here's why I'll tell you they don't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, someone from the SEC is going to make it. Probably Georgia, maybe 2 teams. You know how they like the SEC in college football, right? 1 team is going to make it from the Big Ten,
right?
Possibly 2, but it's going to be one of the 3 from the East, only because of what Penn State did to Iowa.
We're talking second half of the season, bud.
No, so here's this is what's happening. So even if Penn State let's say Penn State loses against Ohio State and Michigan, right? And let's say whoever wins, Ohio State or Michigan, at the end of the year, whoever wins that game is an undefeated team, right? That team is going to the playoffs, guaranteed. Undefeated Big Ten, undefeated,
lose in the Big Ten championship,
which that's just ridiculous. So,
you know what?
Could you think they're going to lose to Wisconsin in the Big Ten?
Well, first of all, Wisconsin will be representing the Big Ten West in the Indianapolis.
So here's what the only and even
here's my dream scenario.
Go ahead. What's your dream scenario?
Penn State runs the table, beats Ohio State, Michigan, goes undefeated
into the East Championship,
and then Iowa beats them 17-18 in
and you know what's messed up about that is Penn State will still get the nod because of what they did to you guys.
No, they couldn't.
Because of what they did to you guys. Yes, they did. Yes, they could. And here's the other thing too. Let's say Penn State loses to Ohio State and Michigan. Let's say they don't even make the Big Ten East Championship. Let's say Ohio State or Michigan makes that game. Let's say Iowa makes that game. Iowa beats whoever. Let's say Iowa wins the Big Ten Championship at the end of the season.
Right.
They're 12-1. They're undefeated at the end of the season.
Right.
They'll still put Penn State in over Iowa. Even a 2-loss Penn State team for blowing Iowa out, because Iowa doesn't have Iowa doesn't have the power to blow a team out like that. They might win it, but it's going to be ugly and it's going to be a slugfest, and it's not going to be a big enough win to where, because what Penn State did was to you guys was borderline illegal.
Yeah,
that was just rough. I think they're gonna slide Iowa, and I think part of it could be, even if Iowa's more deserving, let's say Iowa just looks like the best team from here on out for the rest of the season in the Big Ten. If they're going to come down to ratings, they're going to say, "Hey, do we want the Buckeyes in here, or do we want the Hawkeyes in here?"
The problem is you've got the main guy at ESPN, the golden child, Pat McAfee, and his number one sidekick is an Iowa fan, and the publicity that the committee would get on ESPN, their home network, would they don't want to deal with that bad press, and Iowa fans, they're relentless when they're pissed.
So here's what I think. I think the playoffs this year is going to be one SEC team, one Big Ten team, one Big 12 team, and one Pac-12 team. I think that's what it will be. I think that's what it'll be. It'll probably be Oklahoma from the Big 12.
Yep.
It'll probably be Georgia from the SEC. The Big Ten is up in the toss, so obviously I want it to be Michigan, but it's going to be tough for anyone to get out of there unscathed. But I think it'll be a one-loss Big Ten team, a potentially undefeated SEC team, a potentially undefeated Big 12 team. And as of right now, if I had to pick a team from the Pac-12, I'm probably going with Washington. But that conference is so up in the air because there's so many good teams in that conference that could just score so much.
Oregon looks good.
Oregon lost to Washington, but it was an away game, and they only lost by 3 points. So they could easily turn around and win a game against that same program. So before we get out of here, though, there's a couple other just interesting games. We don't have to go over them. I just wanted to mention them at the end of the pods here. So did you know Air Force is undefeated?
Yes.
They're 6-0.
Congratulations, Air Force.
Air Force 6-0 playing Navy today. So
Coach Calhoun, I wired his house.
Did you?
Yeah.
So for our military fans, Air Force is taking on Navy today. They're ranked 22nd in the country. They are 6-0. We have a good SEC matchup. Ranked 17, Tennessee looking to continue its one-game winning streak from last year against Alabama. So they play at 5-1 Tennessee at 6-1 Bama. Bama is favored by 9 in that game. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. It looks like the only other interesting game is 2 more that I want to mention. So Duke at Florida State. So Duke is a 1-loss team, lost to, I believe it was Notre Dame. Florida State is undefeated. So that'll be good. If Florida State can continue winning, I think they can show that they're the 4th-ranked team for a reason. Maybe Florida State makes it in there. I think I'm still kind of sliding them a little bit. I still think they'll take a loss, but we'll see. If they keep winning, I have them ranked really high too. I think Florida State could maybe even sneak their way out. An undefeated ACC team will make it over a 1-loss team from another conference, I believe. So I think they've proven that with Clemson over the years when Clemson had some really good years. So I think that's a possibility. And the only other game of interest to me is Utah at USC. 5-1 Utah at USC. Utah's only loss, I believe, was to Oregon. And then USC lost a freaking bad one last week to, who was it, Arizona? No, Notre Dame. They got blown out by Notre Dame. So they barely beat Arizona in triple overtime the week before, and then they got blown out by Notre Dame. So Caleb Williams, I guess I do want to mention one more thing. Caleb Williams, the quarterback, the projected number 1 draft pick for next year. Have you seen what he said he wants?
No.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
So the gall on this student. So first off, at the beginning of the year, there was talk that he might not even leave college for the NFL because he can make so much money in college. It just depends on what NFL team will draft him. So it's wild that we're living in a time to where you can say, you know what? I don't know what the Patriots, he might go to the Patriots. Let's say it's the Cardinals. They've already talking about getting rid of Kyler Murray once he's back from injury. So let's say the Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL and have the number 1 draft pick. If he's like, you know what, I don't want to play for the Arizona Cardinals, I'm just going to stay at USC, be the face of USC, make just as much money as I would playing in the NFL, and then play, potentially play for a championship in college. Whereas in the NFL, you're probably not doing that.
Right.
It's crazy that you have that option now. So say, you know what, I don't even want to go to that team. I'm not going to play for you guys. I'm going to go to college.
Well, when they opened it up to 3 years before eligibility, that changed the landscape. And it's interesting watching Neil settle in and how it's sort of rebalancing it back to you're keeping the athletes at the school for the full 4-5 years.
Well, and I would say most people are still going to want to go to the NFL and just get the NFL paycheck and go there but there's going to be a select few like Caleb Williams at USC that have the option to go back to college, make more money or just as much. And I'm sure they can find a booster because if they say, well, this is what a rookie would have got paid as a number 1 draft pick, pay me this much and I'll stay at USC. I'm sure that someone will pay him. So it's wild that we have that. The other news I was seeing about what he wanted just in the last week or so was that if he gets drafted by an NFL team, he wants partial ownership in the team that's drafting him.
Well, you're starting to see this a lot being discussed among the players union and the NFL, or select players within there. Discussing Mahomes came out this week saying he wants to own his own NFL team.
He might be able to afford it one day.
Yeah, and so I think players are seeing the value. Obviously, it's always been this distinct separation. So it'll be interesting to see, if this select group of men are going to allow him in.
Yeah, so I just thought that was funny for someone coming into the NFL, hasn't played a single snap of NFL football, could be a complete bust in the NFL, and you want partial ownership in a team that might not even want you in a few years. So
one more thought before we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's not football related, but playoff baseball is here, and if you get a chance, watch these games because these are the best games. Playoff baseball is my favorite playoff sport.
Okay.
Of all time. It's amazing. So do yourself a favor and watch a game.
I'm a big fan of the volleyball playoffs.
The men's league?
Definitely not.
Anything you want to wrap up before we go?
No, I'm good. I guess one thing I'll just leave you with before we get out of here is go Gophers.
Torrey Taylor, who has all of one touchback in 36 punts all season long. And this one, again, won't be a touchback. Wow. Taylor on the last punt. Now the booming leg is what he needs. He's number one in the Big Ten in average punt yardage. And this one drives DK all the way back inside the 35-yard line. We'll get to Allison afterwards.
Trying to break the chain. Martinez up the sideline. Still running. Look out. Taylor Martinez. Look around. He's got a leg. Martinez. Wow. Taylor Martinez. Touchdown. Husker. Play fake. Beathard sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith.
Has some time. Right corner of the end zone. Touchdown!